This is the Stockwell Roche Show, giving you real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Josh Roche.
Good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is the Stockwell Roche Show every Sunday, 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results, and with me today is
Dawn Eldridge, RE/MAX Results.
Yes, Josh is out today. He has some personal stuff going on, but we hope all is well, Josh, if you're listening. And he will be back here, I'm told, in the coming weeks. So we have a great show for you today. We have a lot of great information for you that is very timely this time of year. In fact, before the show here, talking with Wes and Paul, I am going to have them come out to my house to help out with the exact issue, which is chimney and fireplaces and those sorts of things that we can have. You have some great tips for you. But first, Jason Light and Dawn and myself are going to talk about the market update and what's happening in the Twin Cities. And I want to lead us off with the new year here of 2016 with 2016 predictions or trends from Realtor.com. Here's what they say. There's 5 things, and you guys can give me your input on this. Number 1, will return to normal. Does anybody remember normal? A normal, healthy market. Number 2, generational shuffle will make 2016 the best year to sell your home in the near future. So if you're interested in selling or thinking of selling or have been waiting for the market to get to the point where it's high enough to be able to sell, we're here, folks. It's here. Number 3, builders will focus more on affordable price points. We're seeing that happening right here in the Twin Cities. We'll have some information on that. Number 4, higher mortgage rates will affect high-cost markets the most because a lot of the higher-end market people have already taken advantage of low rates on ARMs and locked in on low 15-year and 30-year options. And lastly, number 5, already unaffordable rents will move up, and there'll be even higher priced rents in 2016, and they will go up more than home prices will go up. So what do you think of that, guys? Jason, what are you seeing? Do you agree with some of these things? Do you concur on these things?
I do. I'll touch on the interest rate portion of it. First, my license is 17256. I always forget that.
Thanks, Jason.
But as far as interest rates go, the Fed's raised it. We all knew that was coming. It doesn't necessarily affect mortgage rates. I think it's going to be a good year as far as rates go, just because I'm going to go on a limb. It's an election year. And so what I mean by that is typically, if you look at past history with election years, you never see a major volatility change. Will they go up? Yes. They're going to, but that doesn't mean it's going to be, uncharacteristic, just making things unaffordable. So I'm going to slightly disagree with that one, but everything else, I think we're going to have a strong 2016 across the board.
Dawn, what do you think about returning back to normal? Do you remember normal?
No, actually, I don't. What is normal in real estate?
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
I mean, I haven't seen a normal market in 12 years. Have you?
It's been a while. A normal, it was in the 2000 run. It was crazy, and then it went down dramatically. And then, so they say normal. It says the year ahead will see healthy growth in home sales and prices, but at a slower pace than in 2015. Slowdown is not an indication of a problem. It's just returning to normalcy. We've lived through 15 years of truly abnormal trends. So there you go. It's been abnormal for a long time.
Maybe that's the reason.
And we're getting back to normal.
It's because of me and Jason.
We might get back to normal for this year, 2016, and then when the election happens, we'll go back to abnormality, right?
Right.
And then the generational shuffle will make 2016 the best time to sell. So if you're thinking of selling or have a question about selling or want to know a range or price range of what your home is worth, please go to the Stockwell Roche Show on Facebook or tcrealestatehour.com, tcrealestatehour.com, and click on the home evaluation button there, and then we'll get you within minutes the evaluation of your home, an estimated valuation of your home. No cost or obligation for that. Dawn, myself, Josh, we're all happy to help as well. Come and look at your home and give you a more accurate evaluation. So all in all, good things. We've been hearing it a long time for, I think, the whole year. Every market update on the show for this whole last year of 2015, and it looks like going forward into 2016 is positive things in the Minneapolis real estate market for sellers, for buyers. Unfortunately, not for renters. They're the only ones who are kind of taking the brunt of things, if you will, because they're paying such exorbitant rent rates. But that will continue, they're saying, in 2016, but that could change if they start buying houses and buying condos or buying something, right? We talked about it last week on the show that it's advantageous, especially if you're with a big corporation or company, to buy because they have relocation services. So if you're worried about getting relocated to another state or something, you have a relocation service that can help you with that as well. So anyway, we'll get to our topic here because my wife and I were sitting around in the basement with the kids watching a show, and our kids like to go into our basement fireplace, Asher and Victoria, and they like to play in there because we have we have a rack sitting in there with some birch wood for decoration. It's one of those fireplaces. We don't put candles in it like some people do. I never use it, but we never used it since we've been in the house since 2012. And they play in there, and they get all, the soot all over them and everything, but they think it's fun. And Katie said to me the other night, she says, let's light a fire. And I said, I'd love to, but I don't know if it's safe to because it's a super cold night tonight, and if the house starts on fire, it's not going to be a fun night. I'd much rather do it, light a fire in the summer if it's going to do something, then at least you're not burning the house down in the middle of the winter. So without further ado, we have Wes here and Paul with Durand Repair and Restoration. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what you guys do and what got you in the business and how you guys help people.
I'll just start with me. Obviously I'm the owner and founder of the company, and we started doing this 15 years ago. I started working for a guy named Scott Forsberg, who no longer owns Colonial Stone Walls. It's owned by another company out of Minneapolis. So really what we've seen over the last probably, I would say 3 years strong, more exponentially than we ever have, because chimneys aren't the only thing that we do, but we've really been getting deeper and deeper into these for the exact same reasons you just brought up. We're seeing more younger homeowners, even people that are older. They've lived in the house forever, but even still never lit a fire in these things. And there's a lot of knowledge out there that is unknown. People don't understand the mechanics of how these things work. They're actually quite simple. And then there's a whole series of scams that are going on out there right now that we're running into. So when we started running into these types of things and the people that are servicing these fireplaces, and we keep getting asked these same questions over and over and over again, our main forte when we started out was repair and restoration. Is we do a lot of grinding out. So let's say you live in a house in South Minneapolis and you've got dyed mortar. You have a brick, a wainscoting on your home that you're not going to see on homes that are built, let's say in the last 20 years. You're going to see these are 4 foot high wainscotings that are going to wrap all the way around homes. It's not cost effective, but back in the 30s and the 40s, this was a big deal. And they have dyed mortar, so you have to mortar match and you have to get the gradients. So that's where we kind of started our business. And we of course did chimney rebuilds as well. I've had a lot of different guys that have worked with and for me over the years that I've gotten licensure to do this stuff, and I've gone through it, and I've done enough of these rebuilds where we've done a lot of caps. We do a lot of just chimney tear down or rebuilds from the roof line up, all kinds of different stuff. But what's interesting is that over the last 3 years, more exponentially than anything else, we've seen just a lot of just basic mechanical questions come up over very simple stuff. I mean, is it safe to light a fire?
Yes.
And how would you know?
And how do I know? So, folks, if you're listening and you have a house that's older, or you live in, a house that, like I have a 60s house, and it has a fireplace in there, and you have not converted it to gas, or maybe you're ready to convert it or you haven't. But either way, we lived in a house in Richfield that had a fireplace, and that gave us tremendous problems because we thought, like a lot of people do, oh, let's just buy one of those logs at the store, throw it in there, light it up, and then let it go and then start a fire, and then we're safe. And that was not the case. We had problems opening the thing up because it had a lower, like you said, the mechanics are simple, but if you don't know what you're doing, they're more complicated. And if you're listening to the show and you're laughing, thinking that I'm an idiot and everybody's an idiot that doesn't know how to run a fireplace, people don't do it anymore. We don't, we're not, we heat our houses differently, so it's not the main thing we're doing every day. We run it twice a year or light a fire for.
Well, and also to be fair, Jason, also be fair, there are a lot of different types of mechanics. I mean, not a damper, a standard damper, there is no such thing as a standard damper. Okay, so there's all kinds of different products. You can have dampers that open reverse direction that have chains. There's a product out there made by a company in Farmington called Dulce & Company called a Chimney. Have you heard of that? It's a cable that goes up through, it attaches to a damper, it's spring loaded. It's a good product. But if that cable has issues and it's not open properly and serviced properly, again, there's another whole aspect to it. So it's not like it's a one-size-fit-all. I mean, and it also has to do with the dimensions of the fireplace, the depth of the box. There's all kinds of different stuff there. So if anybody is thinking, well, geez, I better not even mess with it, or I feel like I should know more than I do, and this is ridiculous. As rudimentary as the mechanics of a fireplace are, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So that's why it would be beneficial, certainly if you haven't lit a fire in there, to have somebody come out that does understand these things.
Yeah, and check it out. And when you buy a house, it's not always the thing that you get, right? I didn't get a fireplace inspection done. Is that something you get all the time? I mean, some people do, but I didn't. I opted for it, or I could have opted for it, but I didn't. So
I actually have all my buyers do a chimney inspection.
You do?
Yep.
Okay.
When they buy a house, and when I list a house, I have my sellers do a chimney inspection up front because of people coming through that are saying, "Oh, the whole thing needs to be tore down and rebuilt," which happened to me. We'll talk about that later because it's kind of lengthy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and I usually have Wes come in and do the inspection because I trust him.
Yeah, that's something that actually would make sense, yeah, because in Richfield we had dampers on top because of I think the airport commission made them do it or something like that. For the airplane noise. They had them cord going all the way up.
Right.
But yet mine still had one on the bottom too. They didn't take the old one out. And then the guy came in and took the old one out, the lower one.
Yep.
And cold air just kept, even though we closed the top one, it was just like whoosh.
Yep, for sure.
Whoosh, just cold air. So inefficient.
Especially if they're stacked. So if you have one in the basement, one on top, and they're
yes,
stacked.
That's what it was.
So what you have is the basement flue liner is going to go up. It's going to jog to the right or the left, and it's going to go out the same chimney. It's going to go out the same chase, which is why if you look at a chimney chase on the outside and you have two stacked fireplaces that are directly above and below each other on the same floor, or the same location of the house.
Yep.
But on different floors, that's where you're going to see those two flue liners coming out. But the one in the basement's going to bend at an angle either to the left or the right. And it's going to go up, the other side. The other thing too is that if they don't offset each other, you could have a drafting issue too.
We had tons of drafting. So Wes clearly knows what he's talking about here on chimneys. So if you have a chimney or want to start a fire or are worried about it, or we have horror stories of people starting their house on fire by not getting it inspected, you'll definitely want to stay tuned and listen to more from Wes and Paul with Durand Repair and Restoration. We'll be back soon.